Hello everyone, welcome back to the Three Ways with Glenn, Rottmann and Sandy Ames. So just to start, let's say that when we talk about self-love, we can always think of a plant. A plant naturally, if we don't decide where has to grow, it grows naturally in the territory that it finds the best energy to grow with. And then people surrounding and nature itself water the plant following the seasons, the cycle, following the moon, the sun. Same is for humans. Sandy's back and Glenn is coming too. Ciao guys, so nice to see you.
Hello, hello.
Greetings fellow Jedis. How are you today?
How are you guys? The Three Ways are back.
Woo! And it's our last episode for a while, right? This is the last episode of season 1 of the Three Ways podcast.
Season 1, yes.
Because we also want to give the opportunity for people to enjoy holidays and they don't have to watch us all the time, but they can listen to the past episodes. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Who has a topic in mind?
All right, let's start off with some news, then we'll dive into our stuff. So next weekend, if anybody's in Florida, I got a new show coming to Miami. Super excited. It's going to be all about, well, 3 things. It's going to be stage hypnosis. It's going to be magic. Then there's going to be transformation. It's going to be group meditations. I'm going to be doing instant fear and phobia cures, and like everybody that's coming in is going to get an opportunity to put one thing down they want to change. We're going to pick somebody out of the crowd and do it right on the spot in the middle of the show. It's going to be just amazing. And I got 2 shows back to back, so I'm super excited. Sunday, August 6th. I'm stoked.
Guys, right, so remember we were talking about it last year in August. It's supposed to happen, and then COVID was still there. It's supposed to happen in August last year. So then is basically the cycle is back. Amazing.
Yeah, the one theater that I was at closed down. It may reopen again one day, but this is a brand new place. It's called Savage Labs, and it's kind of a bar, restaurant, theater, and it's really cool. And it's one of those swanky Miami kind of places, and we're just going to have a great time. So I'm super excited. That's next Sunday. So I got 1 more week before I get the flight again. So super fun.
So just go to Glenn's page, get the information, and they can sign up. I'm assuming right through your Instagram.
Yeah, the links are always in the bio to get tickets and all of that. And there's ads running now for anybody in Miami, but it's right there. Link in bio, buy tickets, and it's going to be so cool. So what's going on in your world?
Glenn, what's your outfit? Are you going to be wearing something as a hypno teacher, master, spiritual master, or not? What do you care about?
Normally, it would be some version of a suit, but it's so swampy in Miami that it'll just be, you know, like, no blazer, you know. So just like, usually I just end up wearing all black, and I wear my cool little mojo necklace, and that's what we normally do because I'm going to be sweating. So no blazers on this trip. Not in August, not in Miami. So that's it. Yeah. So I'm excited. It'll be fun. It's gonna be really fun to have that back, and it should be a semi-regular thing, depending on what happens with this one. So back to flying again. So I'll be like Francesca, flying around all over the place again.
Yeah, and I think this sounds like one of those really big events that's worth it if somebody lives anywhere else in the country or in the world to fly in to see the real Glenn Rottmann live in more than just a t-shirt.
Amazing.
Woo! Woo!
Love it. All right, so what do we get?
Oh, thank you for asking. I also have some great news. I've been working on this app, as you know, for all of 2023, putting millions of pieces together, doing it by myself, and it's this close to ready, like for the first version of it, right? It's never ever finished. It's kind of like saying my kids are really perfect now, you know. It's just this ongoing thing. Which, by the way, that's why I missed last week, because it was an emergency room visit for us. And you guys were so amazing checking in to see how Bodhi was doing and everything. He had 5 staples in the back of his head. They're already out. They're already out. He's already in the park doing flips off of things, and I'm just like heart attack at every moment of it. So
kid in the helmet.
Amazing. Oh my God. Yeah. So that's why we couldn't come to the live last week. Minutes before I got here, I got a call from the camp, and that, like any parent knows, that's when your heart sinks and you're like, so sure enough, Burke right at the back of his head, but he's totally fine. Yeah. So I've been working on my app and my children, and what I can say is, because I've been recording so many hypnosises and sort of just handing them out to my clients as they come in, I'm like, hey, you inspired this recording from our session last week. This is yours, right? So I've been giving them away to people, and the feedback has been through the roof. People love it. So I put just a curated handful available on my website, and I made them $3.99. Just $3.99. You can buy bundles where the regular price would be like $107, and the entire bundle is like $13. So go to sandyameshypnotherapy.com and download a whole bunch of, there are short ones, there are long ones, there's fear of flying, there's healing your body, and everything in between. So soon, yes, thank you. So soon this will all be available on an app. Woo! Woo!
Get your work
How about
out
you, Francesca?
there.
What's that?
You got to spread your love. Get your work out there. I love it. That's fantastic.
Yes, actually, guys, if you want to, can start talking about this. People often say, how can I work adding value? Or how can I add value working, feeling happy? Well, if you're not yet aware of how to add value, you can work for companies or for systems that add value. So same time, while you learn how to add value, you feel good because there is a purpose behind the system you want to be part of. Even though I always think it's always better to work on yourself and then being part of a system to avoid being dependent on it. But it's also an amazing maybe start for our topic. Instead of working for companies just for the sake of money or for the sake of success, because maybe it's famous, there is no value behind, then you end up being a slave of the company itself.
Can I read you right along these lines? I had no idea what we were going to talk about, but I have it in my phone. A guy texted me like last week. Hold on. Okay. So this guy texted me last week, and I'm going to read you exactly what he wrote. He's from Nebraska. I thought he was trying to sell me something, but then, so he says, hi, Sandy. He says his name. I wanted to see if I could schedule some sort of meeting. It wouldn't be a hypnotherapy consultation, and I'm thinking, good, because I don't do those anymore. He said, I actually help smaller hypnotherapists scale their practices, and you seem to be at the end goal. So I wanted to interview you on what methods you used to get to this point. And I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. I'll read to you what I said to him. I said, okay, here's the real answer. I didn't need an interview for this. This is, no matter how long you want to ask me questions, this is all you're going to get from me. So I just gave it to him. I said, here's the real answer. There's no such thing as bad luck. There's no such thing as good luck. If you approach your dream with trepidation, you are a mismatch to your desire. Tell your budding hypnotherapists to practice what they preach. Approach their business as authentically as they openly listen and guide their clients. Find the belief systems. Shift into alignment as you go. Luck is not hard work. Success is not luck. Success is satisfaction. Satisfaction is available in every moment, no exceptions. Feel for that. Let that guide you. Success is not someone else's formula. See your dream and be it.
Yes, satisfaction is internal. When you feel good about what you're doing, what you are, yeah.
So people say, you know, there's no such thing as luck because you create your luck. And I say, well, wait a minute, hold on, because that implies often hard work. But think about the times that you've gotten really lucky and things go really well for you. It wasn't hard work at all. You can do hard work or not do hard work. That should be mutually exclusive. So what he wanted to know was, do you do Google ads or do you do Instagram ads, or like, what are the ways that you can help? That's what he really wanted to know. And here's the thing, when you are truly genuinely aligned with your dream, how you see your practice, whether you're a hypnotherapist or you work at a gas station, right? When you are aligned with your dream, your Google ads are going to work. And when you're not aligned, your Google ads are not going to work. Now, there's refinement within all of that. There's numbers, but at the bottom line, align with your decisions, and that's your real work.
Yeah. And how do we find alignment, guys? Do we want to talk about this? Because alignment is not necessarily balance or normality or boredom or having to be perfect, where you get lost in the details more than the meaning of it. So alignment, we can talk about this if you want.
I have a perfect way to teach it. I'm going to save it because I want to hear what Glenn has to say about building success, since Glenn is probably one of the most successful on the planet.
Well, there's a lot of successful people on the planet. You know, all right. So I love everything you just shared, Sandy. I mean, that was a beautiful answer, because I'm not sure what that person's really fishing for, you know.
I was thinking, what is he trying to sell me? But I just answered the question anyway.
But some people are legitimate. It was a nice compliment that he gave you, and it's a true compliment that he gave you. So all of that is really nice. I had two thoughts as you were reading that. And this one is, I love how you answer. The first thing you did, I just got to point this out. I know I got two different thoughts. The first example of what you did is, just because somebody asks you a question, it doesn't mean you have to answer it. And that's what you did.
I don't agree.
You answered. Well, let me finish. Let me finish, and then I want to hear what you share. Okay. So, just because somebody asks you a specific question, it doesn't mean you have to answer it from where they're coming from. Just because somebody attacks you with a question, or just because somebody makes a comment at you, it doesn't mean you have to react to it.
You never have to take the bait. Yep.
So Sandy didn't react to that text because it could have meant many things. Oh, great. What can I do? What do you want from me? Instead, she was who she was. Well, if this is what you want to know, don't waste my time. Here's my answer. If there's something else you want to know, let's talk about it. And that is what keeps us in our space. What do you think, Francesca?
I think, guys, for example, now that I asked, of course, we go deeper in other ways, but let's talk about alignments. When our mind is focused already on another objective, sometimes we, of course, want to say all that is within us. While people saying, not you, Glenn, in general, I don't have to answer to your question, is because they don't want to be present and maybe express what they're feeling, because they want to avoid it. And it happens often during dinners, group sessions. So any answer you give is fine if you are present and you are ready to be debating your answer even. So of course, not everyone wants to answer questions because they're scared of being judged. So the idea of not answering, in my opinion, is really negative. Of course, you learn always, but the avoidance doesn't bring any learning and depth. In general.
I don't know if it's avoidance. I think it's more when you ask a spiritual teacher a question, a lot of times they answer it differently than the way you asked it.
It's the
because
empowered neutral, which is alignment.
Yeah. So to me, that's a way. It's a different way of saying it, Francesca. It's being more aligned because the question you're asking isn't really a question.
Yeah, alignment is because alignment doesn't necessarily have to be success, because sometimes people are very aligned but still crave something else.
Oh, so, but then define success.
Exactly.
There is no more success than being aligned. There is no more success than being aligned.
Exactly. There is so much subjective ideas about any meaning of any value. It's incredible.
Yeah. So we have two subjects going on, which I'm fine with. I got a left foot in this lane and a right foot in this lane, and they're sort of on water, on a log, right? But I like it. Glenn, Glenn says, if somebody asks you a question, it doesn't require you to answer that. And I want to take that further. It all has to do with alignment anyway. So we'll get to alignment specifically.
Yes.
Yes, Yes. One of the greatest things you can learn in communication. You just did it, Glenn. And I'm going to add to it. The person asking the questions is the one in control.
Okay. Not necessarily. Sandina, of course, so we did about the three ways. The more we debate, the more funny and interesting it is. Let's put it clear to our guests. So if the question is stupid and the answer is intelligent, who is in control?
When you're aligned, you stay in control.
Yeah.
When you're aligned, you stay. But just because someone asks you a question or puts something out there, you can still ask a question. It's not always literal. It's not always linear. But for general purposes, for power and communication and empowerment, you can always ask the question. So I'm going to give you a real life example. I love this one. I have a client who happens to be a billionaire, and he would come often. We would discuss certain different things. So much fun to work with this guy. He's brilliant, self-made billionaire. And I have a carpet. I guess, can you see my carpet? You can't see my carpet. I'm on a carpet, and it always slides, and then people trip on my carpet. It's like this constant. It's like. You ever watch the show Modern Family, and there's the one step on the staircase that's a little too high, so the dad always trips over it? Right? Okay. And so it's just a funny little thing if you watch the show. Same thing. People come in my office, they're like, there's your damn carpet. I'm like, it's a magic carpet, and it flies, and it just doesn't know how to land properly. So it's something about the gravity in my New York City office. Anyway, so this billionaire guy comes in. He goes, I can't stand that carpet, Sandy. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. So he said, well, how do you fix it? I said, I have to take all this furniture out of the room. You can't see it. And I said,
Andy, you don't. I would never done it.
So I have a couch, I have another chair, I've got a table. So I have to take all this furniture out of the room, move the carpet back, which is very heavy. By the carpet itself is heavy, and then put it all back. That whole thing takes me 20 minutes. I'll get that done about every 2 months. Okay. So he comes in, he goes, I am not stepping over that carpet again. And with all of my furniture still on this very heavy carpet, he walks over there, he crouches down, gets a hold of it, and the whole room just moved with her. So this is this guy. He's so great. I was like, all right. So you want your carpet fixed? Hire a billionaire. So he was telling me a story about when he was just coming up in business, and people were starting to recognize this is a pretty brilliant guy. So he was, for the first time in his life, we're going back years ago, for the first time in his life, he was invited to speak on a panel as an expert. Right? You guys do this all the time. You remember your first time. You're like, wow, somebody cares what I have to say, right? It's a big deal. So his mentor said to him, Francesca just wants to know, what did he wear when he was on the panel?
I have the camera doing this. I didn't know what to say, by the way.
So his mentor says to him, what are the answers you have prepared for this panel? And the guy who's my client said, oh, no, they didn't give me the questions yet. So, there's nothing to prepare. He said, so I'll ask you again. What are the answers you have prepared? Which is brilliant. And that's what all politicians do. Some do better than others because it's pretty obvious. Like, look, I vote Democrat, okay? But I've seen Joe Biden on talk shows doing that very thing where it doesn't matter what the talk show host asks him, he just has the thing he wants to talk about. So I think Biden is very bad at it, right? As far as believability, I voted for him, okay? But I think he's very bad at that thing where I've got my own answers prepared. I think there's a finesse to everything we do, just like with NLP. If anybody studies neuro-linguistic programming, we can all ask the NLP questions, which supposedly puts us in control. But at the end of the day, when somebody is NLPing me, I want to puke in my own face, right? So you got to just be really subtle about it. And so these are just some little...
Yeah.
So
it happened to me the way guys once. It was terrible. Terrible. I was walking down a building and I'm
What?
Anyway, let's not talk about
Say that again.
Oh,
You were
so hot.
walking down a building, somebody threw up on you?
No, I think she puked. Wait, did someone puke on you or you puked on someone?
But Sandy, do you think this do you think this is the reality of anyone having this internal kind of reaction issue, or of course can change, it depends on whom?
I still want to know the puke story.
I have to turn on my fan. It's like 90 degrees in here. Hold on, guys.
I'll tell you my quick one then, if you don't want to tell me yours.
Wait, are you going to a puke story, or are we going to learn something?
Both. In high school, I took a girl on a date to our local fair in East Hanover, New Jersey at Liquor Park. And they had one of these spinny kind of rides. And we went on it. Then after the ride, my date puked all over the bushes. And then after she puked, I'm like, well, I guess I'm not going to kiss her tonight. It was a very sad story. She's got a little puke in her teeth. You know, you can't kiss somebody after they puke. That didn't work out very well.
So
anyhow,
here's
that's
where you, as the hypnotist, can do some sort of inference into, you know, and after you and I stop off at CVS to get a toothbrush and toothpaste, where's the best place we could?
But,
you know, when you,
the last talk about puking. Would you ever do it for someone you love, to put the fingers to help vomiting in case of danger? Would you ever do it or not? For love? To
save them. Not you're not saying puke on them. You're saying, like, if they need to be puking, would you say
is not able to vomit, so as a mother would do it for a child to, I don't want to say the
course.
Me too.
Yeah.
Every human body comes with 9 holes. I would stick anything in any hole of anyone I love if that's what they need. I have no problem with the holes.
Amazing.
Now you're going to make me count. Yeah, I guess you're right.
Yeah.
I thought of that.
Yeah, I counted. And you can't lick your own elbow. I've tried that too.
Okay.
Can you?
I don't really have a desire to try.
But
I'm sure if I really
later, you will later.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch my Glenn Manny cam. So alignment. Wait. Are we done with the conversation about the person asking the questions is the one in control? And if someone asks you a question, you absolutely never have to answer that question. Did we cover that?
Yes and no. There's 2 ways to look at it. There's empowerment, alignment, and there's boundaries. When somebody wants to have a conversation and you're not up for that particular conversation, you always have a right to say, let's discuss it later. Especially if it's a heated subject or the person is coming at you with energy that you don't want to take in. At the very basics, part of having boundaries, and I fail at this sometimes, when somebody's kind of elevated, it's like, listen, I hear you. I'm not in the space to answer that question right now or have this conversation. Let's pick it up tomorrow. That's one of the best ways to communicate.
And within that communication, you can add in a spice of, you deserve nothing less than the best that I can give you, and I'm going to be better for you tomorrow. So you can always make it, you know, positive for them emotionally as well.
Sure.
It's also a really great sales technique. You know, if you're the salesperson and somebody's coming at you with all kind of things, and you know it's kind of throwing off the energy of it, you can absolutely use to your advantage as a salesperson and say, there's a question we're going to put on the side, and we're not even going to talk about that right now, because when we look at this, that's when you're going to have your best answer, right? So you can always use that kind of thing as a sales technique, where no matter what somebody throws at you, you say, got that, we're putting it over here, next.
True.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I grew up with quiz after lunch and dinner. I grew up with my mom and her husband was a big fan of quiz. So, which means that after lunch, and I had to answer fast. To be honest, it was very stressful for me, because it was always about history, all these things that I hate the most. So obviously it was very stressful, but to be honest, I love questions so much. So if I like the question, even if I don't like it, I love answering, because I want to stand for myself. I don't know if it's because of the way I grew up or the way I've been taught education, but in any case, or the way I've been taught to play, but in any case, it is, in my opinion, better to say something maybe stupid than not answering at all, because you learn how to stand for yourself. This is my perspective.
And to really honor what you're saying now, and what you were alluding to, I believe, earlier, is the way people do improv. There's a rule in comedy improv that you can't just say no. When somebody says, and now an alien walked in the room, you can't say, no, it didn't, right? So they teach you in improv to say yes and I feel like, Francesca, that's what you're offering, is if somebody's asking a question, you want to hold a space of honoring them. You want to help them feel safe no matter what the situation. And A, I'm agreeing with you, and B, what I'm saying is there's not only one option being to directly answer to their question. There are many other options you can use to hold a safe space for all people involved, and that comes down to your favorite thing you want to talk about today, which is alignment, which I call the empowered neutral.
Yeah. You just remind me, it reminds me of a funny story. I had an old boss. He hated salespeople. So, Sandy, if he asked you a question and you were thinking about the question, he would get pissed off because he thought you were about to bullshit him. I'm like, give me time to think, right? So he'd be like, Glenn, where's Steve? Oh, Steve's on the west side signing a contract right now. He'll be back in about 3 hours. Oh, okay, good. Steve could be in the bathroom and he is walking out. But if I didn't know, if he saw you think, he's like, he's going to bullshit me. So I would just make up off the wall stuff in the moment just to get him away from every time it worked.
This is advanced. This is advanced talk right now, but anybody watching or listening to this who went to HMI, that's a physical who doesn't understand emos.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't understand the people who need the time to process.
I would just make stuff up all the time, and then I never had an issue. Didn't matter what I said. It was insane, but it's funny now.
In fact, to change our mind, we say something and then we can change the idea we have of the answer we gave. That's very important too, because people say, you are too controversial. Well, all the most genius people are controversial. They say one thing one day, the other thing another day, because we transform, we change our mind. I think that's also part of being intelligent.
Right. So I'll give you a real life example where I use this very technique of not answering someone's question. Yesterday, I had exactly an hour and a half before I had to get to the office and then do a full day of work. And I have a friend in town visiting. My plan was to get up extra early and ride a bike along the Hudson River down to Chelsea Piers and ride it back. That was my plan. And then go to work. And I said to my friend, hey, I'm going on this bike ride. Do you want to join me? Yes. Okay, great. So we get the city bikes and we start riding. It's so beautiful. There are flowers this big while you're riding along the Hudson River. It's so magnificent what they've done and continue to do with the water space here in New York City. So we get to Chelsea Piers and she says, I want to stop and get a smoothie. I said, well, no problem. Bluestone is right there. They've got great smoothies, but I got to head back because, I planned, and so I said, I just want to make sure you know how to get back. And she said, why did you go on a bike ride when you know you only had a limited amount of time? This is why I like to go by myself. So that question was so loaded. Okay, first of all, my bike ride didn't include breakfast, right? That's first of all. But how can that ever be a constructive conversation? Why did you do this thing that I think is wrong? Is what she said. So I didn't answer the question and I just kept going. But I know that that's a pattern in her life where she would say to somebody, why did you do this thing that I think is really terrible? And then the person would answer and it goes nowhere.
But I didn't also, Sandina, of course, we can keep going, which is also amazing, a beautiful teasing, but we can also explain why. The why, I really love the why.
If you enjoy it, I don't need to defend myself to anyone. And I didn't want to sit there explaining why when I could go look at the flowers. And then after the flowers, see a helicopter take off 3 feet from my physical body. That's so cool. I don't want to be there doing that. I don't know her an explanation as to why I chose to ride a bike and not stop for breakfast. You see my point? So when somebody asks a question, I don't have to answer it.
Yeah.
And okay, let's play your game. What would your answer be? Do it.
If you love me, brother, when I ask you why, Sandy, I'm sure that we will talk about it. That's
a question I want to answer. Let me tell you all the reasons I love you, Francesca, but let me get a flower and pull out every petal first. So let's go back to the situation, the one where I didn't want to answer the question. Why? Pretend to be me, Francesca. Do your very best. Okay, so I'm the other person, and I say to you, why did you plan a bike ride when you didn't have enough time to do it, Sandy?
Sorry, repeat it, Sandy. I was just playing with my...
No, I want to hear how well the conversation can go. So you're saying I should have answered the question, why? So I'm asking you, you're me, and I'm saying, hey, Sandy, you look good today. Tell me something. Why did you plan this bike ride when you didn't have enough time?
Well, because I wanted to. I'm very impulsive, Francesca, so I do what I want. Why are you asking?
Because I need to know why you made such a dumb decision and dragged me into your dumb decision and didn't give me time to have a smoothie.
Well, but I'm impulsive. I accept my personality.
Right. It's just you're defending yourself.
Yeah.
So you get to choose where and when to answer questions. If you ask me questions about myself, I promise I'll love to answer them.
Yeah.
Right.
There's a difference between explaining yourself and defending yourself. Giving an explanation is something you do one time. But if you keep doing it, then you're defending yourself, and it's a hard balance. And it's something that's just one of the biggest challenges in our communication with other people. The difference between explaining yourself, defending yourself, and then going further into that rabbit hole where it's like, I gave you the answer. If you see the answer didn't matter to that person, why keep giving them more of it? Because that's not what they're looking for.
True.
And that's,
you have constantly to defend yourself. Unfortunately, it becomes almost natural.
Yeah.
So it looks like you're explaining, it looks defensive. Like it's a very delicate pattern.
So when I look at someone like you, Francesca, if you were my client, my very strong impulse would be to wonder if, since we're removing answering questions, right? Because you really wanted the person to know, I'm an impulsive person. I like to do what I want. I am free. And you should know that about me, right? I call that defending. But if we as therapists or hypnotherapists or healers answer the question from somebody with Francesca's personality, often that belief system, which doesn't have logic, okay, but that belief system says, oh no, you're surgically removing my freedom of expression. And I want you to know, not only is it not surgically removing your freedom of expression, it's adding strength to your freedom of expression, because part of your expression is choosing where, when, and how. That makes you a better expresser than to just express all the time. Make sense?
Yeah. If it's a constructive feedback, for sure, has a big impact. Sometimes just people criticize just to criticize. In fact, there are many different scenarios. I totally agree, Sandy.
Yeah. Or they want to know more so they can criticize you more. If that answer didn't work, give me another answer so I can go deeper in this pattern of communication. And it really does. It takes courage.
Yeah.
It takes presence to stop an argument.
And now let's say I had the time and I cared about using that as an opportunity to evolve. So now you be the other person and you say to me, Sandy, why did you plan a bike ride when you don't have time? So let's make this more constructive. So ask me the question, Francesca.
Sandy, why do you talk so passionately today?
Because I chose to go on a bike ride without having time. Do you want to know why I did that?
No.
Glenn, ask me why I chose to go to...
Sandy, first of all, you keep making the same mistake over and over.
By asking Francesca to participate?
No. By telling Francesca to do anything your way, that's a surefire way to make sure it will never happen. Ever.
I know.
Francesca, do this. The second you say, Francesca, do this, joking or not, the answer is no.
All right, so well, Glenn, ask me, why did Sandy
Sandy, I want to get a smoothie. Why would you plan this so poorly and just give us a few minutes for your ride today? Why would you do that?
I'm so glad you brought that up, Glenn, because I want nothing more than for you to have a smoothie. And in fact, I think that place sells tea made out of dirt, so you would love it.
Yes.
I want you to have that. So if there was any poor planning on my part, I don't want it to mess up your breakfast.
Oh.
But we're not hanging out, so why even come?
The whole ride down was not fulfilling for you?
No, because this nearly wasn't enough time to spend with someone so amazing as you, and I feel a little hurt.
I am so genuinely touched, Glenn, that you're showing me how much value you put into not only just our friendship, but the amount of quality time we spend together. When is the next time you're going to be available so I can be fully present for you, because I'm so touched by how much you want to spend time together?
How long is your next meeting going to take? Meet me back here in an hour.
I got clients for the next 6 hours, but would you like to crawl in bed with me tonight?
Now, here's how you work with Francesca. Francesca, don't smile. Don't smile. That's how you control Francesca. That's all you got to do. Tell her the opposite, and she'll come along.
Let's do what Francesca wants. Glenn, can you open the conversation again about alignment? How we align? How do you get aligned? What is it?
I think it's my favorite.
Amazing.
Alignment.
The secret to alignment, the secret to everything, communication, and it's being mindful. Mindfulness fixes everything when we remember to be mindful. But that is that's like an hour by hour practice of awareness. You know, it's so easy for all of us to shift away from being mindful. When we're mindful, we're in alignment. When we're mindful, we're not in fight or flight, which means we have our brain's resources and our emotional intelligence how to properly respond to life and other people. And that's key.
If I were a client of yours, Glenn, and you said that to me, and I know with 100% certainty what you're saying is right and it works and you have evidence of it and you've changed people's lives with that information, what I might ask you in that moment is, look, you're good at being aligned. I suck at it. You're good at being mindful. I suck at it. You could tell me to be mindful all day. I just don't think I'm good at it. So can you, Glenn, take one moment of your life and talk me through a stream of consciousness about what you're saying to yourself in that hour by hour getting realigned mindfulness? What are you doing in your mind to get from I'm a little off to a little on?
Well, when you said that, the first exercise I would say is, in your mind, you count to 5 before you answer anybody.
You can't work for that guy.
I know, correct. But really, you know, if somebody asks you a question, okay, well, here's what I think. Those 5 seconds will put you right into a mindful state where you're not going to react. And that's the first exercise in being mindful and aligned. Because it doesn't have to be a big spiritual practice where we have to, like, oh my gosh, I got to make sure I'm connected to my higher power. I got to make sure I'm connected to myself. Slowing everything down, because that's what hypnosis is. When we get into a progressive relaxation state, we're slowing the conscious mind down to get to our deeper selves, to create changes, getting out of this. And so taking 3 seconds and 5 seconds feels too long, but waiting a few seconds before answering is the first gift that will put us there.
So what's going on in your head while you're waiting? Are you counting or are you thinking?
You are just doing nothing. You are letting yourself not react.
For me, Dream Team is alignment, at least how I found it. And of course, it's a never-ending process because you always transform, you refine the alignment, you refine it. It's truly to follow the up and downs I have in my soul and energy flows. Because if I'm not aware of my flows, which are part of the up and downs, I cannot find the alignment. Because otherwise, it's my illusion having this alignment. And then something happens and bam. So my alignment is given by the up and downs. So the alignment for me is not something linear. It's something wavy that you don't have to control, but you have to feel and be aware of.
Well, that's fair because our spine is not straight up and down, is it? It has natural curves, and you want that because it's like a spring, right?
Yeah.
Right? And there's space between every vertebra, right? So there's the space between.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, it's just taking space.
Yeah.
We need to slow down, and that helps all of our communication when we slow it down. One of the greatest things I learned from a public speaker, and he came into the room and he got up on stage in front of a big audience and he just got out of water, just walked on stage, went over here. and he looked out at us. What's everybody doing? You know? And he
Francesca's drinking.
But,
Right.
you know, showing us what confidence is like.
Yeah.
Confidence,
yeah, because true confidence, it's calm.
To be in front of people, whether it's one person or 1,000, to just stand, and you don't have to rush or change who you are just because there's more people around you. To be the same.
Mm-hmm.
That was such a great image for me, that you can stand in front of people in a moment of silence and actually think without having to use fillers in your words or fillers in your mind. So to me, that's it. Alignment is just slowing the F down. And I forget to as well. And when I forget to, I'm always irritated later because the communication didn't go as productive as it could have.
Yeah. When you say the word think, for somebody with my personality, and I know everybody receives it differently, it gives me a little bit of anxiety because I'm like, what am I supposed to be thinking about? And if you tell me to slow down, also my brain's like, but I don't have that gear, you know? For me, the slowing down, for me, the thinking, I have to translate it for it to make sense for me. And for me, it's a feeling. So when I get out on stage, which I've done 1,000,000 times in my life, I will, for example, just like make eye contact, you know? So your guy might take a drink, but for me, it's like, I'm just seeing the souls. I'm seeing a soul. I'm you know, communicating in that way. And it's a real feeling. It's a connection, but I'm not thinking for sure.
Yeah. Well, some of this stuff you inherently do. You've done, you know, so many interviews over your life. You've spoken in front of camera, in front of people. You don't have fillers in your words. Yes, you are kind of like both you and Francesca, you're like energizer buddies that can speed up really fast and slow down, but you have that natural presence in the way you communicate where you don't just, and so you already understand this internally.
And that's the exact magic word. If we had even more time, I would love to give a full, meaty explanation of alignment. I'm going to be doing a podcast about it soon. But what I will say is, when you look at the definition of being present, which is alignment, it's when you and your inner being are seeing exactly the same way. So your inner being is always seeing through the eyes of compassion, the all-knowing. It's always confident. Your inner being is the best it can be, always. It doesn't waver, right? So here's your inner being. And then when you're feeling any pain or discomfort, there's that, hello, somebody's feeling. When you're feeling pain or discomfort, you're sort of off, right? That space between, that's, right? There's that pain and discomfort. It's however far you are. All right, so here's your wisest self. Who cares what you call it? Higher self. In my hypnosis, I've been saying a lot, seeing from your higher self-esteem. When who you are being, how you are seeing, how you are interpreting, when it's aligned with your inner being that's being present. If you're feeling negative emotion, you are simply just not aligned with your inner being. And that's a moment when you can ask yourself, how does my inner being see this? And for many years of my life, I'd say my inner being is an asshole because it doesn't get that we should really be mad at that person right now, right? Your inner being's never mad at that person. So if you're feeling any discomfort, any agita, any negative emotion, you can ask yourself, how is my inner being seeing this? But that's a big question. Instead, you can just say, I'm having an opinion that's throwing my focus off of compassion. So I'm going to just focus on something that feels a little bit better right now.
Beautiful. Opinion is fundamental because people, they confuse judgment with opinion and they become so diplomatic and they don't know anymore what they think, what's their value, belief, and values.
I'm turning off my alarm because it's going on off in 30 seconds. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's, I want to give a longer explanation. We don't have time, but I want to give a little plant a seed, and this is the end of season 1 for us. So when we come back in season 2, we can talk about it some more. When you look at the 2 parts of your brain, the thinking part, the conscious mind that's in the front of your brain, and then the 88% of your brain, which is the subconscious mind, it can't think, it doesn't think, but it runs you. It runs all your belief systems. All your reactions are in there, right? So the front thinking smart part of your mind, the 12% conscious mind, processes 40 bits of information per second. The subconscious mind processes 40 million. So I play a game with clients where I have them stand up and they put their feet are planted on the ground and their hands are against mine. And I say, whoever takes a step first loses. So I'm trying to make you take a step, so I'm trying to throw you off balance, because if a foot moves, you lose. I have done this in front of large crowds, and I will say, I want the biggest, strongest guy in the crowd, you come up, and I win every single time. And I'm a little person, right? The reason I win is because everyone, even people who are martial arts experts, and I am not one, but I've beaten martial arts experts in this game. Everyone comes up and they're trying to figure out a technique, use a technique, right? Use strength, drop their arms. They're trying to figure out the technique, and they've only got a capacity of 40 bits per second. I think nothing. I drop out of my thinking mind, I go into my intuition, and I have the leverage of 40 million. I am an ocean wave. So if you come at me hard, my arms just drop. That's effortless. If you start to realize, she's going to just drop her arms or whatever, and you go to drop your arms, before you can get there, I'm going to throw you so hard, so fast. And that also was effortless. But that amount of power is that same kind of power that somebody will break through all those boards with a karate chop, right? Effortless, boom, and done again, right? It's reactive. And you got right? So you have the leverage of 40 million versus 40 when you're what I call dropped in, and that's aligned. I don't know if that really quick explanation made sense, but we can pick up on it next season. Why are you laughing at me?
Because Mike wants you to do it now.
Of this guy breaking a hard piece of wood just was the energy. Poof. I was visualizing it, Santina. It was not, of course, for you, but in any case, it's a smart.
All right, you crazy kids, that was funny. Let's wrap it up. Another, season 1. So we'll be back for season 2 with who knows where we'll be. Who knows where Francesca will be? She could be on a cruise ship.
On a cereal box.
Team group, and if we want to go live, we go live. We don't follow rules. We are just saying that we make a post and then we don't know.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So it's the end of season 1. We're off for the month of August unless we change our mind.
Yeah.
Go catch up on episodes of the 3 Ways podcast, wherever you get podcasts, also on YouTube. I love you guys so much. Glenn, the dates of your Miami live event that everybody needs to fly in and go to are August 6th.
August 6th, 2 shows on the 6th, back to back.
Okay.
I'm going to be tired after.
Post the videos, we can try to see.
Oh yeah, we're going to have great this event.
Yeah.
It's going to be great.
Yeah.
Also, and go to sandyameshypnotherapy.com and download some MP3s. They're brand new, and I'm so excited.
Absolutely. All right, you guys. Much love. We'll see you very soon.
Don't puke on anyone. Bye.